Now then, how you all doing? Thought it was about time that I did another vlog because I've not done one since about the end of January because I've just been so busy with just fishing, work, lots of different things going on, and you know what it's like over the winter months as well. You don't tend to catch a great deal, so I thought I'd hold it back a little bit because what I don't want to do is put too many vlogs out and there's not a great deal in them. We're now filming this in the middle of April. Since the end of January, I've caught some decent fish from this lake. I'm down in Lincolnshire on my syndicate water, same venue that I did my last vlog on. You know, I've been pretty consistent with my trips down here as well. I've not been coming every week. I've had a few bits in between to do with Avid, a few trips away with the missus, as you always do, and you know, things to do. So I have kept my trips as consistently as I can though, because I always think when you're trying to target fish from a big fish water like this, you've got to stay in tune with the venue. And over the next few months, I've got loads to do with Avid, so I'm not going to be down here a great deal, but fortunately I'm down here this week for a 5-day period. This particular lake's rule is that you can only do 72 hours a week, and then you've got to be off the lake for 96 hours, but you're allowed 2 trips a year when you can do 5 days. So what we're going to be looking at is some of the footage of the last couple of months fishing on this water, and also a little bit of footage of the beginning of my 5-day trip this session. And we're 2 days in now, and the next 3 days I'm not going to show the footage of in this film. I'm going to save that for probably the Avid channel or you know, a future vlog. But what we're going to be doing now is just looking back at my fishing from the beginning of February, because lots has happened since then. The lake's actually fished really well. It's been pretty tricky on here last year when I came on here in the winter months. There wasn't a great deal that was caught, and I think there's probably about 20 fish caught from the lake last winter in its entirety, from the beginning of December through to the end of March. But this year there's been a lot more than that. There's been a lot more really intensive feeding periods. I think last year there was probably one just into the new year when a few fish got caught, and then the back end of March it fished quite well as well. But this year we've seen some really good feeding periods in December, January, February. February was a really long one. There was probably about 10 days on this lake when a lot of decent fish got caught, and March fished really well as well. So we've seen a lot more carp caught this year from the winter syndicate. I think there must have been over 50 fish caught. The highlight really for me in February was when I managed to get one of the 18. There's 4 main 18 members in this lake. There's a lot of really good fish in here. And in February it was really bad conditions, very strong gale force winds, and I decided to get on the teeth of the wind in a swim called Big Doubles. And it all started for me in the morning when I caught a 29-pound common, which was a really nice fish. Actually my biggest common from the lake, even though there's a lot of 30s and even 40-pound commons in this lake. I've only done fish up to 29 pounds when it comes to the commons. I've done all right with the mirrors, but in the afternoon I saw a decent fish show, so I put a bait on it, not too far out, only about 13 wraps out. And then it was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I had this really bitty take, real typical big fish take. Didn't roar off. A lot of the fish in this lake do roar off, especially the smaller ones, but this one just a little bitty take, and I lifted into it, and as soon as I hit into it, it was like hitting into a bag of cement that just didn't want to go anywhere. And I kind of knew it was a decent fish from that moment onwards, because it just plodded its way in. It was a real steady fight where the fish didn't really take a great deal of line, but it just came in really slow, held its area out in the middle to start with, and then when I got it under the rod tip, that's where I kind of knew it was a decent fish, because I saw it roll on the surface and I saw the width of it, and I thought, yeah, that's a good one. And eventually I netted it, and it turned out to be the big cob at 48 pounds, which is a real big fish, and certainly one of the ones that I wanted to catch in this water. And it's probably the biggest carp that I've caught in England in February as well, so I'd have to look back on my records. But real highlight for me this year, because obviously that's one of the target fish that you want to catch, even though there's a lot of good fish in here that are a lot smaller than the main 18 members that I'd love to catch as well, because it's a kind of venue that you could probably spend your entire career on. It's not somewhere you're going to come on for just a couple of years, this water. It's got too many good fish in it. So I can see myself fishing here for a long while if the syndicate allow for me, because I do enjoy being down here. Yeah, that was a real nice highlight for me in February. Put a big smile on my face. My missus will tell you that sometimes during the winter months it can be a proper slog for someone like me who's out there consistently, and the weather can get you some days, and having a dog that steps in the mud and then jumps onto the bed chair and you're not catching anything, it can really be a bit of well, a grumpy moment for me when I get home, and you know, catching something, it does make the effort worthwhile. But the rest of February wasn't really a great deal that came away, if I'm honest. It wasn't until March when I started getting amongst the fish again. And what we're going to do now is join myself on the banks in a swim called Slopes, where I've just managed to get onto the fish. One of the best things about having a dog is you've got to walk it, and I walk Bo probably a couple of times a day, but today I've just done it the once. And when I came round from the shallow swim, because that's where I've been fishing, I came round past this swim which is called Slopes. I sat in here for about 20 minutes or so, and I saw probably about 12 fish show, some of which were absolutely massive. So I had to make the decision quite quickly about whether to move into here, because it's taken me 12 hours to get into the shallows. The shallows have been fishing really well. There's been a couple of 40s out this week, and one of the lads was in there when I got here, so I've been waiting for him to leave, and I've gone in there and I've caught a couple of fish last night, but neither of them was big, up to 30 pounds, which I know is a decent sized fish, but on a lake like this it's not that big. And when I was walking Bo round, some of the fish that I saw in front of here were just massive, so I've rolled the dice, as they say, because I've packed up out of shallows and come into here and just beaten one of the guys in here as well, because the lake is really busy at the minute. There's a winter syndicate on the lake, and it finishes this week, so there's a lot of guys coming down here to make the most of it, because it's the last week of March. Conditions are good, there's fish getting caught, and let's hope it pays off for me, because the guy that I beat into this swim, Craig, he's gone into the shallow swim, so he could end up catching a couple of fish out of the shallows. I could end up blanking in here, and obviously the opposite of that is that I could end up with a couple of fish out of here, or one fish out of here, and he doesn't get anything out there. You know, that's carp fishing, as they say. So sometimes you've got to roll the dice, but some of the fish I saw out here were just absolutely huge. So fingers crossed, as they say. Let's hope it pays off. But let's have a quick look at the swim, and hopefully we'll see if there's any carp in front of here as well. I just got that one on camera then. A bit out of my distance though. Well out, it's probably about 200 metres out, that is 200 yards out. Big one that just launched itself out. But there's a few more, a lot closer in than that. I've seen them, well, within 20 wraps, sort of 17, 18 wraps out, and you know, that was seen though before I cast out, and obviously when you cast out, that stops them from showing, as always. They started showing a little bit further out now, but that's not to say they're not close in. About that, definitely worth a move. £35, absolutely brilliant, proper made up with that. We've got a dewdrop on the end of the nose at the minute, but I'm smiling. Right, should have a warning going across the screen now because this is crowy moan time. Now you can wake me at any time of the day or night if you've caught a fish and you want a picture, or if it's an emergency. I'm there for you, especially with a fish picture. If you've got that special carp and you need that right picture, come and get me. You can wake me, I ain't bothered. Apart from Ryan Crouch, who woke me once at 1 o'clock in the morning to take a picture of a 13-pounder down at Roach Pit. Do you remember that, Ryan? I did it for him though, but I didn't moan at him. But if you've caught that special fish, I'm always there for you. But you're allowed on this lake to arrive at 6 o'clock in the morning. And it does say in the rules, be careful when you get to the lake. Don't wake up any of the locals because you have to drive past some of the residential houses. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, you've got here, you're walking around the lake, there's two of them, and they're talking, nattering, walked into me swim to see if I've caught anything, or if anybody else has caught anything. They want the information basically at 6 o'clock in the morning. And yes, I was awake, but they had no idea that I was awake, so I've told them to F right off. I have. And I did apologise, and I apologise to you now, guys. But I do think it's really rude to walk into people's swims at 6 o'clock in the morning. You've arrived and you just want the SP on the lake. That is not carpy. In my mind, it isn't anyway. Maybe I'm being wrong. I think that is having no consideration for other anglers, because there's some guys that go fishing just to escape normal life, to escape their missus, to escape work and things, and they just want to be left alone and have a kip. Even on a day ticket lake, I think that is rude. But on a syndicate lake, you should be a bit more respectful for the other anglers, especially if you've got a bit of carping etiquette. And you know, they might be watching this, I don't know, they're probably going to be calling me all names under the sun underneath this video, but it needs to be said sometimes. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, but I don't think you should be waking people at 6 o'clock in the morning unless they're awake or they've turned around to you and said, you know, how you doing, guys? And they want to chat at 6 o'clock in the morning, or if they're one of your mates. You know, people do it, but I don't even know these guys. They've just arrived at 6, and I think it's wrong, but hey ho. And I'm not being miserable because I've caught a couple of fish this morning as well, so. Normally at this time of year you tend to get more daytime bites, but at the moment on this bank we're still getting plenty of nighttime action. And there you go, a 40-pound 10-ounce mirror. And there's the other side of it. We've got April just around the corner now, probably one of the best months to go carp fishing. Well, that brings you up to date with how my fishing's gone over the last couple of months, and we're now going to join me in session at the start of this trip when the weather is all over the place. Oh, check that weather out. Proper westerlies coming in at the minute, soaking the camera. White cap waves. Gaz on the far side has just texted me saying he's seen a fish in front of me, so I'm not a million miles away from him. These are the conditions during the week in April, so I'm not looking at any old footage. This is this particular trip. Oh my gosh, that looks good, very good. Love these sort of conditions. Check out the indicator on the right hand rod. It was level with the other two, but just before I turn the camera on, I've had a single bleep and it's dropped back. Now bearing in mind those rods have been out there all night, and I've had no bleeps at all and no movement on the indicators. Again, in my mind, that's been done by a fish. It's either been done by a line trailer, it's swam into the line and moved the lead, or it's been done by a riggy fish. It's picked up the hook bait and it realises that something's not right, in which case it's marked the spot and that's a dead rod. So in a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hedge on the side of caution and say it's been done by a fish that's done the rig, and I'm going to recast it. So as soon as this rain stops, it's going back out to the same area. I know there's fish in the swim, but if I leave that rod out there and it has been marked, then the fish aren't going to go anywhere near it. I need to recast it and try and confuse the fish. So yeah, this rain's due to stop in a minute, so that's what I'm going to do. So then, same rod setup, same swim, about an hour and a half on from when I did that bit of filming, wondering whether I'd been done by a fish or if a line trailer had moved the lead. Well, I decided to edge on the side of caution, recast the rod, because we're fishing to quite deep water out there. It's probably about 12 or 13 foot, and recasting in that kind of depth, when you think there's fish in the swim, I think you've probably got less chance of spooking them compared to if you're in really shallow water. So recast it, and lo and behold, about an hour later, about half an hour or so ago, I've gone and caught myself a nice 30-pound mirror. So I've definitely done the right thing. The way that I do fish differently to a lot of people, because I do see a lot of lads with their alarm set really sensitive. They're getting loads of false bleeps, but I don't tend to fish in that way. I have the sensitivity set really low, so if I get any indication whatsoever, any bleeps, I'm looking straight at everything, seeing if the indicators have moved, and if they have, if they've dropped back or if they've tightened up slightly, then I'm waiting, watching, analysing it, and in my mind I've been done by a fish. I've seen it happen before in this water. It does see a lot of pressure. Last time I was down there was 14 people on, and over the weekend there was 14 people on. It's not so busy at the minute, it's only about 6 guys down, but these fish have seen quite a lot of pressure over the years and they are quite riggy. Let's take a quick look at this fish now. It's not a monster, it's a 30-pound mirror, but my first day of a 5-day trip, I am absolutely over the moon with this one, because there's a really good chance of getting a big fish this week. It's a good sign that they're feeding and I'm doing the right thing as well.
What a beautiful carp. Love the way that it's sticking its dorsal up like that. Spectacular.
recently upgraded my luggage and we'll have a quick look at some of the new kit now. That's probably 3 years or so ago since I had any new luggage, and with Avi bringing out the new RVS range, I thought now's a good time to change a few bits. And the RVS range basically has everything in it, from rod sleeves to rucksacks, from core bags to carry-alls. It's even got some neat little pouches which are great for all sorts of uses. Now, I'm not daft enough to tell you all to go out and buy this stuff just because it's the best ever. There's so many brands out there now selling good kit. It's down to you to go and find what suits your needs. What I am going to say though is I'm a bit of an animal with my gear, so if I'm using something you can be sure it's been tried and tested. The flimsy stuff doesn't really last very long with me because I'm constantly on the go, setting up and packing up, moving swim, moving venue. And to give you an example, last week I fished 5 different waters in 5 days. And when you're fishing as hard as that, things like zips, handles and material, they all take a beating, and basically I need kit that's hard wearing, and the RVS range has been very good so far. If you're interested in taking a closer look at it, visit the avidcarp.com website where you can find all the details about the products as well as your local stockists. Whilst I'm doing a bit of plugging, I'm going to mention this stuff again. It's a while since I've talked about the SLK, but I've started using it again this year. This bait's known as being a big fish bait because it has a habit of tripping up the real big ones. Now, I caught the big cob on it at 48 in February, and I've just had a big cob on it yesterday, a fish I'll show in another vlog. I know a lot of people don't believe in big fish bait. It's not about just catching big fish. Of course, baits like that don't exist. It's about dropping the guard of the older, more wilier carp that perhaps have a taste difference to the younger ones. It's basically all about the percentage game, and the longer you've been carp fishing, the more you realise how things like that make all the difference. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more in depth about that topic in the future. For now, let's finish this month's vlog with the capture of an absolutely stunning carp. There you go on the surface. Bit of movement at last. So it is a fish on the end. I don't recognise the tail anyway. Well done, Crowy. What an absolutely beautiful carp that is. I think that's a good way to end this month's vlog as well, because I've had some fantastic fish since the start of the year from this venue, and I've really enjoyed myself, and I hope you've enjoyed watching as well.